people have nominated some strange bedfellows into his cabinet as ambassadors and other appointments, or the political appointments. Barrister, we have the name of Shehu Sani. There are some names here the name of Shehu Sani was surprising to me. Shehu Sani of all people, for God's sake. Those days I used to respect Shehu Sani as a civil activist, and who challenged virtually all the successive governments over corruption. But I've criticized him lately since last year. I've criticized him on several occasions where he made some public comments that to me I just wasn't befitting of him, of the person I used to know as Shehu Sani in the past. A sort of now Tinubu's government, the most corrupt government, for God's sake. Shehu Sani is obviously has accepted nomination into Tinubu's government, the most corrupt. Shehu Sani is someone who those days was seen as someone that is completely against corruption and fights corruption. So even though I picked some few holes those days in his fight for corruption. Barrister, what is your take? That is Shehu. We have Shehu Sani. We have Omokri. What's his name? Reno. Omokri. That's no surprise to me, but I'll play you a video by Omokri. We have Fani Kayode. For God's sake, but let me. Okay, you comment first. That after commenting, I'll play this clip by Fani by Reno Omokri. But these three people. Other people, that's understandable. These are the former governor of, those are Wike's good camp those days, prior to the 2023 election. I think one of the five governors, two of the five governors or so, I think his name is there. Their names are here. What is your take on these hypocrites that have been appointed or nominated?
Well, it's not surprising to me, even that of Shehu Sani. I've known him for a long time, from the time he was an activist, so to speak. I will not call him an activist now. He used to be an activist.
Yes.
I don't think he is an activist today. I remember I first came across Shehu Sani when they published certain things against IBB, when IBB was head of state, and they were detained in prison. I had to apply for bail for one of them who was the publisher who actually ran the publication.
The story, yeah.
So that is when I came to know Shehu Sani. They were charged together in the same group. Now, remember, on this show, at one point, I told you that we have to separate the real activists from the pretenders. If you are a real activist and you have a level of intelligence above average, you will know that going into the system we have now is not advisable.
Honestly.
Because it's going to remove you from that activism.
Of course.
You have already entered into the banquet or into whatever sauce is being brewed. Yeah. So you cannot come out clean.
Untainted, yes.
And I mentioned Peter Obi too. I said he's coming into this rotten system. It's not going to leave him clean or not leave him on the path that he ought to have, rather than mobilizing the Nigerian people. This system that we have is rotten inside out. It's rotten 100%. Honestly. Once you do not realize that and you enter as an activist and you realize the best thing is to come out and agitate from outside the system. But when you persist in the system, you persist in the corruption in the system, and when it is turned against you, you now revive your activism. I give you no credence. Shehu Sani has cavorted with the system at all times. He has enjoyed the perquisites of the rottenness of the corrupt system. The only time you see him coming out is when the system turns against him. And he begins to shout. Coming back to the appointment, I remember on this show I said Tinubu is the sort of man a sort of person that is razor focused on 2027. He wants to leave no stone unturned. He wants to leave nothing that will broach his path to 2027. And his politics is that no matter what you have said against him, even if you abuse his mother, even if you abuse his wife, his children, even if you abuse him, once you come back and say, I'm ready to support you going forward, he is going to forget that for the sole purpose of hanging on to that power. Now, if you see what people like Reno Omokri have said against Tinubu, if you see what
okay, hold on. Let me play the video because since you mentioned his name.
If Bola Tinubu approaches you to work with him, would you?
It will never happen.
Okay, which one? Which of the scenarios? Him approaching you or you accepting to work with him?
Oh my gosh, I don't want to betray privilege. Somebody from Bola Tinubu's camp has already reached out to me, and I told the person that, look, it cannot happen. I can't do it. It's just against my principles. I'm not. Some people can do that. It's not in my DNA. I can't do it. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. I wish Bola Tinubu well if he eventually is sworn in and then the courts uphold his victory. But I can never work with him.
Barrister, that is one. Now, let me read that of Fani Kayode. Okay, I don't want to go for the purpose of time. Just the headline. I would rather die than join APC. These two people, I don't even want to bring in Boala. Boala has already been appointed, so his own case, we've talked about him. Barrister, you see, this is one thing I hate about politicians. They are the worst of hypocrites. A politician just goes where the wind blows. But sometimes I don't understand if someone can actually come out so vivid, so clear like this, so unambiguous in a certain decision, specific decision, and decide to turn around 180. I don't know what kind of mental capacity does such person have to actually make a 180-degree on such a statement you just had.
It all comes down to
this has gone beyond being a hypocrite. This is just I don't understand. It is so irritating and so mind-boggling. But it's can you?
It all comes down to one thing: their stomachs. That is what drives them. Nothing. Look, I will prove it to you. Mention any of these people. What do you know Fani Kayode does? He's a lawyer. He has never practiced. How does he make his living? What does Reno Omokri do? What does Shehu Sani do for a living? These are people who want to live on the public purse, on the public revenue. They have nothing else. When the government, when you hear Reno Omokri talking like that, at that point he was financially stable from money he had acquired from government, so he could speak. But as the days go by, you find that your pulse is becoming leaner and leaner and leaner, and you have to attach to the public pulse again. So they have no choice but to. If you have been watching what Reno Omokri has been saying, you will know that he has been looking for appointment from. He has become the unofficial defender of Tinubu. Wherever somebody says anything from any corner, even in the remote part of Nigeria, the next day Reno Omokri must reply and bash the person and support Tinubu. contrast this video you showed. There is even worse one, the one he said about the certificate.
Certificate, yes.
I believe you
Correct,
have,
yeah.
you have that.
Yes,
When
I have.
you
We
put
played
all
that
those
one in the
things-
past, yes.
When you put all those things together, for the sake of God, somebody saying all these things about an individual,
Honestly.
and suddenly, campaigning for that individual, try all he can to get into that government, into that space. You know that it can only be the stomach that is controlling him. People like Shehu Sani, they are looking out for 2027. They need money to. He said he wants to contest for the Senate again. They need money, and because you don't have on their own, they have not succeeded in any business.
Yeah.
They need to attach themselves to the public funds that will propel them forward. The same thing with Fani Kayode. What business can you tell me? He has none. He lives on this way. He was a minister under Obasanjo. He made a lot of money. He came into these things. He said, just like you said, he has himself said he will never. But again, you see what is happening. They are driven by their stomach. And that is why whatever they say, this kind of people, I don't take them serious anymore. And I try to understand it within the context of the time they are talking. It's not timeless. It's not from an integrity or principle basis. It's just for the moment and on basis of what is happening at the moment. Who will believe that Shehu Sani Omokri will suddenly appear on the list of ambassadorial
honestly.
Man,
that's a serious appointment. I didn't expect ambassadorial appointment for Omokri. Wow.
Again, it comes back to what I said about Tinubu. No matter what you have said against him or done against him, if you come back and say, I'm ready to follow you now, I'm ready to support you now, his razor sharp fixed on 2027 on retaining power. He will bring you along. He will even give you appointment. After all what he seeks is to retain the power. So if they can come around, he will, and he's not paying them or doing anything from his pocket. It's on the public treasury. That is his principle. Money. That's his principle of politics. And that's why people have confidence that no matter what I say against him, I can just come back and express a few words of support and I will be on board. That is what you see in Omokri and co. Shamelessly.
Let's juxtapose it, these people with Buba Galadima of NNPP. The same Buba Galadima, you know Buba Galadima is a personal friend to. They seem to have a kind of close friendship with Tinubu himself. And look at, because I watched him on. I don't want to spend time on playing the video, but let me read part of what he said in an interview. Tinubu asked me to join his government 4 times. Buba Galadima reveals why he rejected offer. I don't want to. Okay, let me read briefly. A prominent chieftain of the new Nigerian People's Party, Buba Galadima, has revealed that President Bola Tinubu personally approached him multiple times to serve in his administration, but he declined each time. Speaking during an interview with AIT on Wednesday, Galadima recounted that Tinubu made the offer on 4 separate occasions during the burial ceremony of Nduka Obagbena's mother. Despite the repeated requests, Galadima said he turned the president down. The write-up goes on, but I don't want us to waste our time on it. Barrister, juxtapose it with these 3 hypocrites. Galadima, yes. And if he said Tinubu asked, because I know Galadima is very close to Tinubu. I remember during the Buhari time, when they formed APC, Galadima was at the forefront of this whole thing. sort of. So I know they are very close. It's a personal friend. So, and if he said Tinubu asked him honestly, I believe him. Why? Because if Tinubu can bring in hypocrites like this, all this hungry Omokri, Daniel Bwala or whatever, if he can bring such people into his cabinet, how much more will he do that with people like Galadima, who has a level of scruples? As far as I'm concerned, this is the kind of, he's a politician, but the man seemed to have, Galadima, I don't know if you have noticed that the man has a kind of this political principle. Even during Obasanjo, during Buhari, that he was instrumental in ushering him as the president, for his election then as the president. We all know the role he played. He played a very prominent role during the Buhari's election. Yet, Buba Galadima didn't do anything much under Buhari's. I think he rejected an appointment under Buhari or something like that, and he ended up criticizing Buhari's government very, very seriously. Barrister, what do you have the same opinion with me with regard to Galadima's integrity as a politician?
Yes, in comparison to people like Reno, Omokri,
yes.
Shehu Sani, Fani, Kayode, Buba Galadima is on a very high scale, integrity-wise. He is somebody who has loyalty to a person.
Correct.
But that loyalty is dependent on certain principles. Once you breach that principle, the loyalty will stop.
Correct.
And we have seen him demonstrate that with Buhari.
Buhari, yeah.
He was the closest person to Buhari politically.
Yes.
At one point, he was the closest person you can think of to Buhari. But they fell apart, even though Buhari was in power and he wanted him for an appointment.
Yes.
He fell apart. Now, you say he's a personal friend to Tinubu, but he has fallen apart with Tinubu. His loyalty currently lies with Kwankwaso.
Kwankwaso, yes.
So if Tinubu is going to do anything, he must first do it with Kwankwaso or with agreement of Kwankwaso. That is why you see Buba Galadima not agreeing to take appointment under Buhari, because
that's a principled man.
His boss has issues
with Tinubu,
or his group has issues with Tinubu, which have not been ironed out. So you will not see a Buba Galadima governating and going being proud and going to hustle with to take appointment with Buhari when his own chairman Kwankwaso is still having issues. So he is a person of, although I disagree with some of his principles.
Yeah, of course.
But in comparison to people like Reno Omokri, who are completely and totally shameless, honestly, he is a shining star in an otherwise murky and
environment.
And remember, I think in that interview, he said that his daughters took his phone and saw he has the personal number of the president. His daughters took his phone and used the number to call Tinubu. And they introduced themselves that we are the children of Buba Galadima. And we have finished school, we don't have a job. So I think they directed that
it's in this article.
But the curious part of it is that since the lady was given a job for the past how many days, the man has instructed that they should not be paid. He didn't go further to say why, but he said since the daughter was given a job, the president has instructed that he should not be paid. Maybe it is a form of coercing him.
Coercing, yes, of course, that is it. Yeah.
Coercing him to come closer to him. You understand? Because those are outspoken critics of the government, of the president that he wants to bring together, but he is encountering difficulty. So at any opportunity he gets, maybe he will use that to try to coerce them But the man is not a very a person like Reno
Yeah, it's not.
or Fani Kayode or anybody like that. Fani Kayode that chooses religion anytime he wants to talk
Honestly.
about. Same person who say APC were satanic. If you see the kind of language that they were satanic manipulators, they were the devil themselves, ended up going there to be the spokesman of that group, and has been busy waiting for his own appointment. So you see, these things are, the shamelessness of it used to oppress me. That is what I'm saying. How somebody, a grown-up person with children,
honestly,
totally shameless. What are you teaching your children? Even if you have grown-up children, some of them must begin to be ashamed of as their father.